planning stage, maybe a bit of fitment, of our kind of response to having a second battery. There are just hundreds and hundreds of different ways of doing a dual battery system. Everybody knows the best way, which means making a decision on how to do it yourself is pretty impossible, because there are so many people who have got expert opinions that it's difficult to kind of decipher why one expert would say one thing and why one expert would say another. So I've watched a huge number of videos as to what to get, what types of batteries to get, what purposes I want the actual battery for, and what kind of system we're looking for. And they can be really, really easy. You can have just a dual battery in here with a voltage sensing relay, so it stops killing both batteries if you've got a drain on one of your batteries. As you've seen on one of my, as you may have seen, sorry, on one of our earlier videos on the power playlist for this L322, we looked at changing the battery out, which we've actually done twice now. We've got a decent UASA battery in there now, and we've got the solar panel on the front now, so our battery is up to scratch all the time now. It's kept up to that solar panel does plenty. But what we're going to want to do in here is eventually have a fridge in here. If nothing else, actually, is the fridge, and we're going to want that on the whole time when we go away. So we kind of wanted to have the battery in this cubby under here, which is kind of meant for a battery, I believe. I think, I understand rightly, I think earlier L322s had a dual battery, or had an option for a dual battery. And I'm not sure why they didn't carry those on. So there is a space under here for a dual battery, which I'll show you in a second. And then you can look at the different systems you can choose to actually have those dual batteries working. You can pay an absolute fortune, and I have a tendency to go down that route sometimes, to kind of trying to get the best possible solution for something. There's one called Red Arc, which seems to be very, very popular, especially with those who are really reliant on their off-road cars, and cannot break down with regards to electrics. They have a thing called Red Vision, but you can spend thousands and thousands of pounds before you even put any power into it. So I was considering having like a Bluetti or a Jackery, that kind of thing, the sort of standalone power stations, and they do have their uses. You can pull them out and you can use them on the campsite and all that kind of stuff, but they are seriously expensive bits of cash, really. But the 2000s, which is the biggest really that I would want to go, probably excessive, it's just enormous, you know. And with that in here and the fridge in here, there's really not much room for anything else. So I'm kind of trying to shy away from spending a lot of money on this. So instead we're going to go for the dual battery. We're going to have a battery in here, and obviously they've got the main packing battery. I looked at kits that make things nice and simple without it ruining both your batteries if you've got a problem. So there are the voltage sensing relays, which you can have, which switch on and switch off at certain voltages. A lot of those I actually see online aren't voltage sensing relays, they just come on when the ignition's on, which is not quite the same. And then there are kits I've seen. There's a kit which I've seen on quite a well-known Range Rover accessory site, which is literally a relay, some terminals, some pre-wired terminals, a bunch of cable, and it's 160 quid. And I thought, that's just disgusting, personally. It's probably no more than £20 worth of stuff. It's got no intelligence to it. There's no regulator, there's no box to it. There's no DC to DC charging unit or anything along those lines. So I thought there must be a better way. So I looked online, looked on eBay and bits and pieces like that, and sure enough, I found one on AliExpress. It was difficult. And looked on eBay, and found a decent enough dual battery charger. And then I found the exact same one on AliExpress, just a fair bit cheaper, about 80 quid cheaper. So this system was 130 quid, £128 delivered from AliExpress, and this is the advanced system. So let me show you what I've got here. So this is the actual what you get. So that's what you'll see the pictures of. the actual charger itself, which I'll show you. And then you get the wiring kit, and with the advanced one, you also get a mini fuse board as well, auxiliary fuse board, which is really, really useful, because that kind of sorts everything out, so I can pop that on this side, hopefully, if there's enough room on here. On this side, actually, just before we get started, I've put in the auxiliary panel. So this is where, this was a Sam's Motor Machine, brilliant little thing he did on his channel, so I'm not going to show me installing this because it'd be a complete rip-off of his video. But this is from Amazon. I think it was like 25 quid or something like that. And it comes pre-wired, and basically you just rig up the accessories. Mine's not wired in at the back yet. I'd got it here, so I knew it was going to be here, and when I was fitting all the other bits and pieces, I wasn't going to get that in the way. So this is what you get from AliExpress. Nice and simple. It is this DCDC 20 battery charger. It's quite a straightforward piece of kit, really. The lights on here. Again, there's not a huge amount of configuration or anything like that at all. You choose your battery, lead acid, AGM or gel, calcium and lithium ion batteries. I'm going to be putting an AGM gel battery down here. I've been advised to put those in here rather than the wet acid ones, lead acid, mainly if there's any fumes that come off into the boot of the car. So the gel ones don't create those fumes, I understand. So I'm going for a gel battery. And then on here it will show that the power's on for the unit itself. It will show whether it's charging the battery. It will show whether it's fully charged, the secondary battery this is, and whether there's a solar charger. You can have a solar input on this as well. Now I'm not doing a solar input on this one because I've got a solar input onto the other battery at the moment, which is keeping that crank battery up to scratch, and that's where I want it. I'd far rather the car started rather than the fridge stopped working, kind of thing. So if I had to choose out those two things in a particular situation, I'd rather the car started. So that might change. I might rewire it so it charges this unit instead, and then this will float the other battery. I'm not sure yet, but for the time being, this is the only unit that's going in the back here. And this will go probably on the inside of here, somewhere like that, if I've got the room, and then wire it into here. I'm going to try and keep it as tidy as possible. So that's the unit you get with that. You do get some instructions. I don't know how good they are. They are reasonably comprehensive, to be fair. All in English, which is startling. Yeah, actually, good set of instructions. And in the kit, like I said, you've got the fuse box fuses, you get various fitting kits, cabling, and then you get the actual cables itself. You also get a bunch of stickers as well, which you can put on your fuse box, which is rather good as well. So that's that. You've got your two inline fuses. So those will go in there. You've got the terminals for the secondary battery. I thought these were pre-terminated, and they're not, which is great because I was going to have to cut them off and put my own terminals on, because I'm not going to need anywhere near. Let me show you. Because we're going to be wiring in to this power line here. So that is probably the same. It's a decent gauge wire. It's not a wire you'd want to start the battery with, but that's a live feed coming from the battery. So I don't need to run a cable or anything like this to the other battery. I can literally charge it from there. So I can I'm only going to need a short piece, probably only maybe 30 centimeters long. So that's great. So these are, you get all the terminals, so they're just basic terminals. They should be absolutely fine. Some heat shrink, some earth lead. So that's everything you really need to do this. It is really a matter of getting it into a place where you can fit it without getting in the way of everything else. You also get a couple of these as well, which is quite good.
It's two boxes connected.
They are.
Wonder how they connected it.
Got a couple of isolators as well. So again, whether I use both of these, I don't really know. There's a couple of isolators, so you can turn off the battery feed from that to the battery at the front, which will be the battery to here, and you can turn off the feed from that to the second battery as well. So whether that's needed or not, I don't really know. We're going to put an E9 fuse in. By the time we've got the fuse in, there's not going to be a lot of room for two of these things as well. It seems a bit excessive. So I'm probably not going to do that. But it's still a useful thing to have. It's quite a useful thing to have as a spare, to be fair. So what we're going to need to do is try and work out where... Right?
It's cold.
Really?
Yeah.
We're going to try and work out where we're going to put this unit. Let's see if that would fit on the back of that. So, hold that for a sec. Do you want to go get a jumper?
Yeah.
I'll carry on with this. So, I'm hoping we might be able to get this either on the back of this unit here, back of this panel here, which I think is going to be no chance. So it sits down, so the panel sits along this groove here. So you can see there's no room behind here at all. There is some room here, along this section here. And there's no room on that side because I've got that switch panel there as well for there. So we're going to try and work out whether or not I might be able to just simply attach this to this and it fit in there. I think it's going to be a stretch, but it might just work. So I'm going to take this, I'm going to take the insulation off, the sound deadening off, and we'll have a quick look. Sorry, out of focus. Get that all off and then make things a bit easier. So we've just taken the rest of the sound deadening off, and we're just going to see whether or not we reckon we can get this charger tucked in behind here. So this is basically where it's going to go, down there. Oops. Down here. And as you can see, there is quite a big void down there. So I reckon we can probably do that. The only difficulty is going to be is getting this panel back off again. It might very well be that it overlaps here and sticks into this area here. So I'll have to be a bit careful. So I might just do a couple of trials and see where it goes. So let's give it a go. So I think we've got a decent enough place to put this and put a little bracket together. Let's have a look down here. So this needs to be this way up so we can actually see the controller itself. See the sort of the lights and whatnot. Annoyingly, the actual base plate where they put the screws on is that way around, so I can't get it facing this way, but either way. So the batteries will be running down into here and up to here, like I said, so it needs to be this way up. So I've literally just put a little L-shaped bracket together, popped a nut and bolt. There's a hole in the frame here already, just sits below these two bolts. Put it sort of like 45 degrees-ish, and then literally with a washer and a screw, it fits perfectly on there like that. It sits quite tightly in there. Oops. There we go. So it's actually quite tight and snug in there. What I might do is still put another little zip tie around the whole thing and connect it to these ones or something like that maybe. But it does sit in there quite nicely. It sits in there okay. Hello? Pete. It sits in here. So make sure those are in there. Like that. There we go. So it sits in there okay. You can't see it. So I'm pretty happy with that. So that is where the controller's going to go. So then it's going to be on to basically getting all the battery in here. I think I'm going to relocate this cable, this one down here. Can you see that one here? This cable here. I've seen several people jam it up against that wall or move it and jam it up against this wall, and it's like, actually it doesn't need to be running across the floor at all. It literally goes from here down underneath and up to the body here. So in fact, I'm going to run it across the top. I'm just going to literally just tape it up and run it across the top. And then there's a couple of ties down here, I don't know if you can see them, where the cable ties here on these little bolts are sticking up from the ground. I'm going to cut them off so that there's a nice flat bottom for this to sit on. Stick a bit of neoprene down underneath the battery, so it's nice and sturdy underneath there and sort of protected. This will need to be probably taken out and possibly cut out. We'll see. I think if you put a smaller battery, you could put like a 600 amp hour battery in, like those yellow top ones. But we'll see what ends up going in here, and then we'll wire that in. So this is we've come back to it today. So we finished yesterday, mainly because my back was hurting. But we're back at it today, and we've just been to Halfords to pick up the spare battery. I'll show you what we've got in a moment. The next part to do now is to work out where the battery's actually going to go, reroute some of the cabling that's underneath it, which we'll show you as well, and then refit the panel on top. That might need some trimming for it to fit on top of the battery, because I have gone for quite a large battery. So first off, so this is the battery we've gone for. So I have gone for a USA. It seemed pointless going for something non-brand that I just don't know, so I've been caught out with that before with this car. Not go a liquid. I've been advised to not go with a traditional lead, flooded lead battery, mainly because of I believe it gives off some fumes, some vapours. So I decided to go for an AGM battery. So I looked this up last night. I've had a USA battery. So the battery I put in the front was a USA battery, and it has been pretty good since I put it in. Stays charged. The solar panel's doing its job as well, and it's a nice strong cranking battery. So for the back, I decided to go for an AGM battery. So this will not put out any of the fumes. It's not quite as large, very, very similar. So it is an 850 amp cold cranking amps, and it's a 95 amp hour battery. So the one in the front, which is the original flooded USA battery, is 100 amp hours. This is a 95, so really it's very, very similar. It's bloody heavy. It feels heavier than the other battery actually I just bought, and they are more expensive, these AGM batteries. This was about 170 quid I think with my trade card, but you can buy them online for roughly the same sort of price delivered, 180 quid, something along those lines. So it's a good battery. So I'm just topping it up now. Just stuck it on the trickle charger, just to make sure it's completely up to scratch before I install it. Then we'll look to see where it goes. So this is where we're going to be looking to obviously put the battery in this cubby down here, and this is where we put the charger yesterday. As you can see, there's a small little bracket there. I am going to cable tie it as well, but I don't think it's going to need any more than, you know, a single decent thickness cable tie and that bracket at the bottom. Should be fine. Then we've got the cables going in there. I'll just jump up quickly without knocking my coffee over. Right. So in here we've got several cables. Get them. Okay, so we've got this is the DC input. So this comes from this up here. That joins it to the original battery. It's in the front. Then we've got a brown wire here, which is the solar input, which is a solar input, which I'm not going to be using just yet. We've got I think it's an output. The output that goes to the positive of the marine battery. This new battery we've put, it is a marine battery, marine leisure battery, by the way. It's that one. This will go to the switched live, so one with the ignition, and that can go up to the green wire on here, which is a switched live. Probably going to be the easiest thing to do rather than messing about using piggyback fuse, which I've never really liked. And then we've got a ground. So it's quite simple, and that really is it. So all I've got to do first, this panel has to come out. That big long bundle of cables is literally just a run. It comes from here, goes all the way down, oops, out of focus, all the way down, and then back up again. So it doesn't need to be down here. There's nothing shooting off down that direction, anything like that at all. There's no earth coming off it or anything along those lines. So I'm just going to reroute it above this panel, and probably just above here somewhere. We'll route it and cable tie it up here. Keep that out of the way. I'm also going to turn the TPMS box up the other way and route these cables at the top as well. Just trying to make everything as easy as possible to actually fit when I go to put the battery in. The cable ties, the cable management at the bottom down there, I don't know if you can see, there's like some metal pegs. They'll need to be cut off or bent, and then I need to cut a neoprene panel out of some sort of flooring I've got, which will basically protect the bottom of the battery as well. So next thing's out, we've got to get this lot out. that wasn't too bad actually. So it is just one nut there, one plastic nut, plastic nut, plastic nut, and these two are just push fit, so that you just pull them up, and that comes up. So now we're going to try and reroute this cable. So I just need to take off the cable ties. So what I'm changing, what I'm doing is down here. So all I'm doing is taking these cable ties off. I don't really want to break things. People get a bit gung-ho with these things, but try and keep things as fixed and unbroken as possible, and then maybe the next person that has the car has a slightly easier time as well. So I'm just gonna pinch all of these and get these off. There's one there, that one came off okay. There's another one here and another couple here as well, which I'm gonna probably take off. Maybe even one up here as there's a zip tie there, but that should be okay. And then I can here, and then I can reroute this up and above. So that's what I'm doing. Is a little cable down here. Look, I didn't see that, this one, so that'd be going to rear lights probably, or something along those lines, the lower stuff. So that's fine. Okay, so I can only do it so far, so I'm going to bring this up and bring it over this way, like that, to a degree, and that will leave that space down there completely free of any cables once the DPMS box is gone. So I've pulled that one loom all the way up, goes up here, tucks behind here quite nicely, comes back down. The loop pushes in just next to this unit here, and then obviously it could still spin off down to here, so that's fine as well. I'm going to put some rubber shielding here because obviously that's sitting right against metal now, which is not ideal. So I'll put some plastic or rubber shielding down there, some grommets of some kind, to stop these cables rubbing on this metal directly. And that should sort that one out. Then let's get this TPMS box up. He will go. This isn't, I don't think this is the right one. I bought this off a forum, and chap was very helpful, in fact, actually, because I didn't have one. There were just these two cables hanging free in my oops, let's straighten you up. Two cables hanging free in the back here. And I put on the forum, what was it for? And somebody quickly identified it was for TPMS. And there's no TPMS box in here. So they sold me one of these, brand new, for like 60, 70 quid, which is really great, but don't think it's the right one for the car itself. I've not checked to see whether it's working properly or not at the moment, but it's not kicking up any faults. So it is supposed to go in here. There's two little lugs here and here. You can see them, one there, and that's supposed to go these two holes. However, this thing is too big for that by about an inch. So it's obviously not the right one, but that doesn't mean it doesn't work. So I'm going to probably get it in here. I'm going to either tuck it in behind here. There are in fact a couple of lugs there, so it may in fact supposed to be on the back of that, I'm not sure. So we'll work that one out. We'll get rid of that as well, and that will leave loads and loads of space down there without faffing around and any problems with the second battery going in. So let's get rid of the TPMS. Let's create some plastic shielding for that, and then cut the little lugs off. All the cable ties have come off. There's one lug down here, that there, metal lug. I'm not going to bend it off, I'm going to cut it off if I can with my little Dremel. Mainly because I don't really want that puncturing the bottom of a battery. That would be rather fun, wouldn't it? So we're going to get rid of that. Then I'm going to cut a piece of neoprene to sit at the bottom here. That'll be ready for the battery. Then this here, oops, this is a bumper bolt. So that is going to become our new earth. So I need to take one of these bolts off, and then we're going to remove some of the paint underneath all here and create a new earthing point. So that's going to be a really decent earth to this car. And then everything's going to come off of that for the earthing side of things. So nice and easy. So it's best just to keep your wiring out the way as much as possible. So as long as you can close the panels up, all that kind of stuff, keep the wiring out the way. Don't try squeezing it in, or because it's the pressure of wire against something which causes it to rub and fail. So it's best just to get it out of the way. Right, I'm going to zip tie everything up to make it nice and neat. Okay, So I've put a TPMS box up here, which should be absolutely fine, to be fair. So I'm going to pop the zip tie around that. Okay, so all I've got to do now is get a bit of shielding for here so that that doesn't rub. So what we've got here is literally just got a bit of hose, a bit of shielded hose, fuel line, and I've just literally cut it in half, and we'll slip it over that metal piece, so gripped onto it like that, and then that will protect that cable from getting any chafing from that piece of metal. So that is that piece done. That's that zip together. That's that zip together. That was already there, so that's fine. So we are now in a position. I just need to cut that thing off. Don't I? There we go. So they're fine, bent down with that because I'm going to put some neoprene down. So I'm going to measure up. I'm going to measure up the size of this floor, then pop a bit of neoprene panel down, and that'll be ready for the battery. So what I've used is that sort of foam flooring that you can get from like Halfords and other places. Cut a piece to basically sit in there and just protects the bottom, really from any knocking about going, especially if you're going over off-road. I've seen a few people say it fits so snugly in there that it's not going to move, but it can still go up. So you do need to attach these things. So if you think about the weight of that thing, the inertia of it, that thing's going to jump around. If you lift the back of this thing up, it's going to want to jump out of it. So we're definitely going to create a strap to go across the top. There are some original fittings here from there, and here you can't quite see. Some sort of captive nuts there. So we're going to create a little strap. I might actually just use like a fabric belt, attach that to it, because then we can literally strap it in and sort of cinch it down. So we're going to do that next. Then the battery's got to go in, which is the bit I'm not looking forward to. Okay, so what we've done is on my favourite Chinese superstore, AliExpress, I've got about 5 of these little belts. Where the other half? Not sure where the other half is. It's around somewhere. Over there. And it's a little latch belt. So they're pretty strong actually. So that'd be ideal for a battery strap. So made a little hole in the end. Bolt and a washer. That'll go through over here. I'll nut and bolt it on. And that should be nice and strong for it to hold into the bracket. So I've just realised that that bolt's too big. So I'm going to quickly change it out for a slightly smaller bolt. So you've got a little bolt through there. Pop him through there. That. Tighten him up. There we go. So that's one strap. That's there. Now the battery fit in that gap. Sits just across the top. Click it round. I might need to make it a little bit shorter. We'll see in a second. And then fit the other strap onto this one here. So I'll get the end of the belt like this one here, and this will go over the battery and clip tight. That's the idea, and hold it as tight over there as possible. It's about perfect length actually. I can cinch it right down. So that itself needs to be, I'll keep that so I've got something to pull up there, and then that one go down to about here. Let's have a look. To about here, I would say, like that. So it's that one there. Yes, that's M8. It's going to have to be quite short. Oh, that's perfect. Okie dokie. So the bolt I couldn't use on that side, I can use on this side. So we'll cut a little hole. Right. So he's ready to go. Just a bolt through there. Attach him to here. like that. So this thing should be fine. We'll give that some slack first, like that. And that should clip into there. I think I do want to make that slightly shorter though. And if you ever wondered, like me, how to make a hole in fabric like that. Now that might be a really dumb thing to say. Everyone probably like, well, of course you know how to make a hole in fabric. You can't drill it. So I just used a chisel, made an X with a small chisel. Worked perfectly, so that's fine. There we go, right. So he's in, he's nice and tight in there. And then when the battery goes in, flick it over the top and cinch it down. That's the plan. So, just don't know if it's going to work yet. We'll find out in a minute, won't we? Right, okay, so shove him out of the way for a moment. There we go. It's the awkward bit of lifting it into the actual space. So, unfortunately, you're going to get an arse shot on the camera because I can't work it out how to do it. I wonder if I can do it that way. Hang on, let's see if I can move you. So, it's yeah, that's the best you're going to get. So I need to try and get in there now. Now I wanted to keep the battery terminals this side because I've seen a couple of people having put it in once that way and have wanted to turn it around, which was obviously a bit of a pain for them. Oh look, oh don't worry, it's got it. So this is 35 centimeters long. So we're going to go to about there. So what I might do, in fact, actually, although postponing again, I might do the earth straps first, actually, because we're going to want to get to that earthing point. Because I don't see a particularly good earth on this car. Can't see another one anywhere around here that looks like a good earth. So I'm going to quickly remove that bumper bolt down there, wire brush down the area, and then they're really big bolts though, so I'm not going to get an earthing eye on that. We'll have a look in a second. We'll work it out. Are there any other earthing points that I'm missing? Don't like that touching there either, actually. Are there any other earthing points? Yeah, I'm not going to use the bumper bolt. I'm going to use this M6 one here. So I don't know if you can see that here. There's this little here. There's one with a nut on it and one without a nut on it. Same both sides. So I'm going to use this one that doesn't have a nut on it. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to get a little drill. I'm just going to prepare around the edge of that to make sure it's nice and good, a good contact. With that is what I'm going to use. I don't think I can get a cable behind it, but I might try and see whether we can go behind that. Or use a fishing line to do that. So that's what I'm going to do. So I'm not going to worry about doing that now. So I'm going to get the battery in. So, okay, back to the original plan. Thanks, Arlo. Right, you see what I've done?
Yep.
So I've got one strap there, look. One strap there.
And you're going to flip it over when it's in.
That's the plan. So I've measured all this. This should be exactly the right width to go in there, and it should come up to about here.
Okay.
So we should have room, in theory. Whew. Okay.
What's the hypothesis?
Hypothesis? Right, the plan.
This is our hypothesis.
Is what they expect the results to be.
No, don't do that.
Thanks, Arlo. There we go. Okay, so it does fit in there, actually, really nicely. So that is the same size battery as in the front of the car. Now, obviously, we haven't got any of the panelling over it yet, so it may very well be that we have to cut the panel right around to actually get that to fit. I'll get you in there a little bit more. It's a funny angle, I appreciate it, because I've got you on a weird tripod. But let's see if my little strap thing is going to work. Like that.
Works.
Look at that. So that should be fine.
I mean, I couldn't move it in the first place.
No, it's so heavy. So actually that works really nicely. So that is, I'm really pleased with that. So we need to, I keep saying so instead of now. So you can put the handles down first.
Yeah.
You might need to loosen it off first. Hang on. There you go. There you go. £1.80 belt. I don't know,
From AliExpress.
from AliExpress, which are actually too big for most trousers. So that fits nicely. I'm really pleased with that. It is in there. So this is ready to go. So we've got, the next thing is to probably get the charger back on here. Shouldn't be too difficult. Shouldn't be, I say that. It's going to go back there, well, back onto the actual frame itself. And then we're in a position to start putting a few panels back in. I think probably put the panels back in now to try and work out what does fit and what doesn't fit. I think that's the next thing to do, in fact, actually. We can worry about this afterwards. Right, do you want to pass me? Right, okay, so that's where this is going to go. And as you can see, it's going to be a tight fit. And I've seen people do this, and I've seen them all say, oh no, it's not going to fit in there. I'm going to have to move the tripod out of the way as well, though, which is a bit annoying. It's usually my leg in the way, my bum. So what I need to try and do is get this underneath here. Like that. Now I know this isn't going to fit, but I need to work out where it's not going to fit. I wonder if I might take this panel off, you know, Miles. Can you pass me the uninterrupted there? Right. Let's see, look at this. Oh, that is on. Right, that is on there. It's in the right place for everything. So what we're going to have to get off, it's not far off actually, to be fair. Let's try again. That one. That's fine. Right, let's have a look where it's hanging up. Hang on. Still think it's hanging up somewhere else.
Does it not have to be the same size as the battery?
That's fine. That's fine. It's hanging up just one place there. Look. Right. Let's get that corner off. The battery is in, and the upside of this is, having trimmed it around still, the fixings still sit at the back. Those two grey fixings, that one in there and that one in there. Looks a bit messy, but if you pass me the, can you pass me the still? Fits in there perfectly, you see? So coming away from this, we're going to have a spare battery in here with a proper DC to DC charger. And
we haven't lost any room.
And we've really utilised that room down there. I mean, there's barely any room left, which is great. So we're in a really nice position now. So it's come off for the moment, but it's easy to get to the terminals. I've bought some quick release terminals to go on the positive and the negative, which should make life a bit easier. And then I'll tuck all the wiring down for that underneath that panel. So this one has come off for the time being, but that fits really, really nicely. Very pleased with that. So on to the next bit. Video was already getting to close to 40 minutes, so decided to stop it there for the time being. Also put my back out shortly after doing this, which is great. So I'm just recovering from that at the moment. The next video we'll do will be wiring it all in, getting all the terminals fitted nice and neatly, getting the auxiliary fuse box on the side, as well as one of the cut-offs. Decided to go one cut-off in the end rather than both of them, and getting everything wired up and working. So that will be in the next video. So please like, share, subscribe, do all that great stuff if you want to stay up to date with what we're doing. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you soon.